Hi, and welcome to Sling. Today I'll be showing you how to set up your account with us. To start, let's take a look at your dashboard. This, by default, will be the first page you see when you log into Sling. This is where you'll see any and all of your notifications. As an admin, you can receive various notifications about what's going on at your company, whether it's time off requests, changes in unavailability, or shift exchanges. You'll also notice that your roster is located here. The roster feature allows you to quickly and easily see what's going on today or any day you choose. Simply use the arrows and the calendar to choose which day you'd like to see. You'll be able to see who's working, where they're working, and at what times. Also, for premium and business members who are allowing or plan to allow their employees to clock in and out through Sling, you'll be able to quickly see who's already clocked in for their shift and who's late. You can also choose to group the roster by employee name, positions, locations, groups, or tags. Next, I'll show you how to add your employees to your account, both individually and en masse. When you click on your Employees tab, you'll be taken to a list of your employees with a summary of their information. It's from this screen that you can choose to individually add each employee to your account, or you can import a pre-existing file. If you have an Excel or a CSV file with your employees' information, I highly recommend uploading that to the system. All you'll have to do is specify which columns you're looking to import and what they mean to the system. After that, you'll simply have to choose if you want to invite your employees right away or if you'd prefer to wait until your system is up and running. To be clear, your users do need to be invited to your account as opposed to creating their own. Once you invite them, either via email, which we recommend, or via mobile number, they'll be sent a link. It's through this link that they'll be able to create their passwords and join your company account. This is the only way they'll be able to see their schedules that you create and publish for them. If you'd like to add your users one by one, simply click on the Add Employee button. This allows you to enter that employee's name, email, phone number. You can specify their time zone, their system role, and their ID if applicable, as well as assign them to positions and locations. Please keep in mind that each user can be assigned to more than one location and multiple positions if necessary. If this user is going to be a manager, you can also give them access to your labor cost information, which we'll go over later. I want to go back to the system role option that you see here. There are 3 different system roles. Admins are usually the creator of the account and have the highest level of access. Their role can see everything and everyone with minimal restrictions. Please note that only admins can create other admins, and you can have as many as necessary. Managers are the next system role, and managers only have dominion over the location that they're assigned to. They can create shifts, approve shift exchanges, and enter and approve time off, but only for the location that they're assigned to. Employees have the most basic access. They're able to view and print their own schedule, apply to available shifts and make their own shifts available, and they can communicate with all other employees via messages. They cannot create or edit their own shifts, positions, or locations in their profile. Now that we've gotten your employees set up, let's take a look at your Positions tab. If you chose to import a file, you might already see some positions listed here. If not, you can click the Add Position button to get started. You'll be able to name the position and choose a color that will then correlate to that position. The positions are the only element of Sling we allow you to color code right now. You can also choose to assign your employees to this position by finding their name listed here. For premium and business members, you'll see a section that allows you to add a wage to this position. This is one part of the labor cost feature that you have access to via our paid plans. Every time you schedule an employee with this position, the total number of hours they've worked multiplied by this wage rate will be recorded. Once you have the base wage entered, you can then go back and adjust individual wages if necessary. Each employee has a wage tab that you can find in their profile. You'll see each position they're assigned to here, along with the general wage rate you've entered. You can edit that so this specific employee would then get a different wage rate than the general position. Once your positions are all said and done, you can move on to your locations. By clicking the Location tab here, you're able to easily see all of your locations. By default, Sling creates one location for you, and its name will be the same as your company name. You can either work with this location by clicking Edit Location, or you can add more. Once you click the Add Location button, you'll be able to name the location and assign a physical address to it, which we do recommend, just so there's never any confusion. You can also set a time zone for this location, as well as add employees directly to this location by finding their name here. It's important to note that each user must be assigned to at least one location and at least one position. However, they can absolutely be assigned to more than one if necessary. For premium and business members, you'll also see a section for projected sales, which is another part of your labor cost feature. You're able to enter the projected sales numbers for each day of the week. You can also set maximums, including a maximum labor budget per week and maximum labor hours per week. If you choose to set this up, anytime you exceed these maximums, Sling will show you a conflict window explaining what's happened. Now that we've got your employees, positions, and locations set up, it's time to start scheduling. When you click on the Schedule tab across the top of your screen, this is where you'll be taken. This is the admin view of the schedule, and as you can see, you're able to see every location, every position, and every user's schedule. If you open the collapsible menu that's on the left side of the schedule, this is where you'll see your schedule filters. These can be especially useful if you need to look at one location schedule if you have multiple. The same goes for positions, groups, and if you scroll the whole way to the bottom, you're actually able to see each user's schedule individually. You'll also notice the ability to filter out certain information from the schedule. Let's say you want to print this, but you don't want unavailability to show up. Simply deselect it. The same goes for different information, like the count of hours for each employee and the labor cost information associated with them. If you'll notice here, the projected sales show right up here on the schedule. Because we only have one location in this demo account, they're here automatically. However, if you have multiple, you can choose to sort by location, which will appear here, and you'll be able to see each location's projected sale right on the schedule. You're also able to sort the schedule by start time, position, group, or tag. If you wanted to see a different view of the schedule, you can look here. You can choose to look at a daily view of the schedule, a weekly, a monthly, and for premium and business members, you're actually able to select 2 weeks or 3 weeks at a time. One last thing I'd want to mention is if you look up in the top right corner, this 3 dots option will actually give you the ability to upload projected sales right to the schedule. If you have an Excel or a CSV file with the projected sales information, you can upload it here. Now that you're comfortable navigating the schedule, let's get started with your shifts. There are a few ways you can create shifts, however, I'm going to go over the most straightforward process. First, click on the blue Create a Shift button that you'll see here on the left side of the schedule. A new shift window will then appear, and it's from here that you'll be able to specify the date and the time of the shift, using the calendar and arrows. I highly recommend entering time blocks if you have shifts that start and end at the same time always. For instance, if you have an opening shift or a midday shift or a closing shift, you can enter these times that are specific to those shifts. So the next time you're thinking you need to create an opening shift, all you'll have to do is click on the drop-down menu and find the time that those shifts start and end. You can also make your shifts repeat, which can definitely save a lot of time when you're scheduling. This feature will allow you to select how often the shift should occur. Just 1 week, every other week, every month, whatever that might look like for your company. It will also allow you to tell the system which days of the week the shift must repeat on. This can be especially useful if your employees' schedules don't change often. You'll simply need to choose when this recurrence is set to end. Right now, you can make it repeat for an entire year. However, you can choose to go a few months in advance if necessary. You'll also see a space where you can assign the shift to a location and position. And it's important to mention here that each shift must be assigned to one location and one position. You cannot assign more than one per shift. The reason our green gardens location popped up automatically is because this demo account only has one location. But if you had multiple, you would have to choose. You'll also see a space where you can assign the shift to one employee or multiple employees. You can choose from the list provided, or you can type in their name until they pop up in the list and assign it that way. You do not have to assign the shift to someone, however. If you choose not to, the shift will simply go to the blue unassigned shift section that we'll talk about in a few minutes. The next element you'll see is our business feature, tags. The possibility for tags is truly limitless. You can create a tag for anything. A quick example of how a tag could be useful is the fact it will allow you to create specific jobs or duties your employees must do during that shift. You'd simply need to include the tag that says, check emails, or close the shop, polish the silverware. Whatever works best for your company. The final element, if you choose to use it, are the notes. The notes are available for all of our pricing plans and provide additional communication between you and your employees. You can use this section to tell your employees information or to provide additional details about the shift. The shift notes are only visible when you click directly on the shift from the schedule, but your employees can refer back to the notes at any time. The final thing you have to do is choose whether or not you'd like to publish the shift right away or not. If you'd like to publish the shift, make sure the slider is on. This will automatically send a notification to that employee, alerting them to the fact they have a new shift. If you don't wish to publish the schedule or this shift right now, you'll just need to make sure the publish slider is off. You can see here the differences between published and unpublished. Published shifts are a solid color, while unpublished shifts are transparent with a dotted line around them. At this point, I'm sure you've noticed the three distinct sections of the schedule: the blue unassigned shift section, the green available shift section, and your employee scheduled shifts. The unassigned shift section is not visible to your employees, even if the shifts are published. Because of this, the section can be used as a whiteboard, so to speak, for you and your managers. You can create, edit, and delete shifts without having to worry about anyone receiving a notification. One way this can be helpful is if an admin is able to create the shifts to make sure there's total coverage, the managers are then able to go in at a later date and assign the shifts to specific employees. You can also easily make every unassigned shift available by looking here in the top right corner. This three dots option will allow you to make every unassigned shift available. and it will automatically transfer those shifts to the green available shift section. Available shifts were designed to be applied to, not necessarily assigned to. However, that's still an option. Available shifts are shifts that are essentially up for grabs. Your employees are able to apply to these shifts, and you still maintain full control of the schedule because you will then be prompted to either approve or deny the request. Upon approval, the shift would be automatically transferred to that employee's schedule. If denied, the shift would simply remain in the available shift section for someone else to apply to. If you'd like to specifically create an available shift, simply hover your mouse in this section and look for the plus sign to pop up. In the shift window, you can tell you're specifically making an available shift by this designator in the top left corner. You can, of course, select the day and the time of the shift, as well as the location and the position of the shift. Premium and business members also have the ability to use our slots option. This feature allows you to tell Sling how many employees you need for this one shift, and it can help you make sure you have assigned enough people. If you enter a 3 here, that's telling the system that on this day and at this time, at this location, and for this position, you need 3 employees to apply to work this shift. As soon as you publish the available shift, every employee assigned to that location and to this position will be automatically notified that there's an available shift they can apply for. If push comes to shove, you are still able to assign this shift to someone specific. If you click on the shift, you'll notice a 3 dots option near the bottom of the window. When you click on this, you can choose to assign the shift to someone specific. Again, if you have the slots option for our premium and business members, you can see how many more people you need for this shift. The slots will decrease or increase depending on what you're doing. I'd also like to draw your attention to the upper right-hand corner of the schedule. This is where you'll find additional options like the world clock, which, when turned on, allows each user to see the schedule according to their local time, which is great for companies that schedule across different time zones. It's important to mention here that each user has to turn their own world clock on if they want to see their schedule in their local time. Also, back to the 3 dots option, business and premium members have the ability to create their own shift templates. Once you have a schedule built just the way you want it, you can save that schedule to a template. We, of course, give you the option to name the template and add a description. You can also choose to unassign the shifts and whether or not to include unpublished shifts or not. Once this is saved, you can then go back to the 3 dots option and load a schedule from a template that you've already created. You'll then have the option to apply this schedule to future dates. It's also important to note here, if you'd like to copy shifts, you choose 1 week and copy it to the next. The same features apply with the ignoring assignees and unpublished shifts. And this is also where you'll find the option to print your schedule if necessary. Now that we've gone over how to set up your account and how to create your schedule, I think it's important to go over a few premium and business features that Sling offers. To start, business members have access to our reports. This feature allows you to pull reports on each of the labor cost functions, whether it's estimated wages, overtime, budgeting, and labor as a percentage of sales, for either the day the week, the month, the quarter, the year, or a custom date range. Simply use the calendar and the arrows to navigate. You can gauge your labor cost per employee, per position, per group, and if you have more than one location, that will also be an option that you see here. The first report we give you access to is our labor report, and this is where you can find the number of shifts each employee has been scheduled for, their number of hours, any overtime hours, the estimated cost of their labor, holiday hours, and if you click on columns, you'll be able to add different and more elements to this report. You can also use the filters across the top of the screen to filter by employee, group, position, and if you have more than one location, you can choose that as well. The next report we give you access to is our payroll report. The payroll report can be exported, as all of the reports can, and then uploaded to your payroll software. This will show you the gross amount that each employee has earned based on their time clock times and their wages. The attendance report is the next, and this is a quick and easy way to see who might be giving away a lot of shifts, or on the flip side, who might be picking up shifts. You can see how many shifts each employee is scheduled for versus how many they actually worked. The actual shifts is based on the time clock as well, as that's the only way the system actually knows that your employees are showing up for their shifts. This is also where information on no-shows and sick call-outs will be. The last report is the time off report, and as its name suggests, this will be where any and all information about your employees' time off requests will be housed. Next, I'd like to go over the premium feature with you, the time clock. You'll see this tab right next to the reports. If you allow your users to clock in and out, this is where that information is stored, in their timesheets. You can filter this information if you wanted to see a specific user, group, position, or location, much like the reports. These are also able to be exported via CSV in Excel and printed, also like the reports. You can edit individual timesheets by scrolling the whole way to the right and finding this 3 dots option. When you click on that, you're able to enter clock in and clock out times, as well as breaks. This is also where you can find the history of the timesheet. As nothing has been changed in this timesheet, there's no information here. However, you would be able to see when your employees were clocking in and out, and if or who has changed that timesheet. These entries you see in the timesheets are directly linked to the schedule. So when you create a shift, there will automatically be a correlating timesheet entry. If your employee would clock in without a scheduled shift, a timesheet entry would be automatically generated upon clock-in. Now that we've gone over how to set up your account, create your schedule, and a few of our premium and business features, I think it's important to go over a few useful settings and features that Sling offers to everyone, regardless of your pricing plan. Going back to the dashboard, and then to your Employees tab, I want to mention the ability you and your users have to enter when you're unable to work into Sling. We refer to this as your unavailability. If you click on an employee's name, you will see their Unavailability tab in their profile. We give you the option to name your unavailability, set a start and an end date, and how frequently it occurs. If you're always going to be unavailable to work, say it's because of a standing appointment or another job obligation, you can click on any day of the week and use your mouse to adjust the times this way. Seeing how the unavailability is meant for repeated events, you do not have the option to make this a one-time deal. We don't recommend your employees use this for specific days, although there is a workaround for that. Because we don't recommend that you and your users use the unavailability feature to request specific days off, what we have instead is a feature that allows you to request time off. Now, the process for employees and admins and managers is a little bit different. From the schedule, your employees will see a blue Request Time Off button right here in the top right corner. For managers and admins, you create time off requests a different way. What you'll do is click the Create a Shift button, and if you'll notice a switch up here in the top right corner, it allows you to choose whether you're creating a shift or a time off request. You'll just need to fill in your name if it's for you, or the name of one of your employees that you're creating it for. If you're a business member and you've chosen to cap your PTO by type, this is what your employees and yourself will see. You see here that we gave on this account each user 14 days vacation time, 7 days of sick leave, 5 holidays, and 5 personal days. This is also how your employees can keep track of how many days left they are able to ask off for. You can choose whether it's a full day, then you'll select the start and the end dates, or if it's a partial day, which will give you the option to set the times. If necessary, you and your users can enter comments right here. This can be used to specify the reason for the request or just additional details. There's even a setting that would allow you, as the admin, to make comments mandatory. The last section I'd like to go over are some of our settings. You can get to your settings by going to your dashboard and finding the Settings tab. Additionally, you can click on your avatar in the top right corner and get to your settings that way. While we don't have time to go over every setting, I do urge you to take the time to get to know your system. The first group of settings I want to point out are your notification settings. These settings are individualized, meaning each user has control of their own. You can choose to get notifications via email or to your mobile device via push notification if you and your users have downloaded our mobile app, which is available for iOS operating systems and Androids. Some settings even allow you to get notifications via a web browser. This is also where you and your employees can set shift alarms. You can choose the number of minutes before the shift that you'd like to be notified for, and business and premium members can also enable SMS notifications to their mobile phone specifically for shift alarms. This means we'll text you with a reminder. The next group of settings I'd like to point out are your company settings. The Company Settings tab is where you'll find the settings to customize your hours of operation, the first day of the week. You can choose to enable breaks in your shift and specify whether they're paid or unpaid. Business and premium members also have the option to disable any of our messages, tasks, or notification features if you don't think these will be useful to your company. This section is also where you can customize the visibility settings for your users. You can choose to give your employees access to the full schedule, meaning they'll be able to see everyone's shifts. However, you can also limit this by position, and if you have more than one location, you can limit the visibility by location as well. This is also where you'll be able to disable the unavailability feature and hide some information from your employees, either the contact details or the scheduled hours of their coworkers. Scrolling down, this is also where you can enable and disable shift exchanges and available shifts. You can allow your employees to give away their shifts either by making them available or by offering them to someone specific, or you can disable that. The same goes for the premium and business members options when it comes to shift swaps. The very last setting is the automatic approval of applications. This means when it's disabled, the shift applications need a manager's approval. However, if this setting is on, any application to an available shift will be automatically approved. The next group of settings I'd like to go over are our time clock settings for business and premium members. Under the time clock tab is where you'll be able to enable Sling's time clock feature. This will allow your employees to either clock in via their mobile device or desktop, and business members can create kiosk sessions, which allows users to clock in and out from a terminal that the admin creates, whether it's on an iPad, a tablet, or a computer. With the kiosk sessions, each user would need a time clock pin that can be entered or randomly generated in their profiles that they would use to clock in and out with. You'll also see settings that you can customize according to your company. These include rounding the clock in and out times to the nearest increment of 5, 10, or 15, automatically clocking employees out when their shift is over, or setting a number of minutes after the shift has ended that they'd be automatically clocked out, specifying if and when your employees can clock in before their shift, creating geofencing parameters, and allowing your employees to clock in and out without a scheduled shift. Finally, you can enable or disable a feature that would allow your employees to edit their own timesheets. Let's go back to this geofencing feature. You'll notice that you can create GPS geofencing and or IP address geofencing. If you enable the GPS geofencing, this will essentially create a radius that you create around the physical location that you've entered for each location that you have in your account. Your employees would then need to be within that radius before they can clock in and out. If you enable the IP address geofencing feature, this means your employees must be connected to the same Wi-Fi as your location before they can clock in and out. Please note that when you enable IP address geofencing, you'll need to set up an IP address per location. An option to set an IP address for each location will only be visible after you enable this IP address geofencing. The next tab you see is your labor cost tab. This is where you can change the currency that your company uses. You can enable and disable overtime, and with that we allow you to set the threshold for weekly overtime hours as well as the rate that is applied to the hours beyond the prescribed threshold. Premium and business members can also set a labor percentage goal, which is based on your projected sales and wages. You'll also be able to enable and disable holiday pay, as well as set the pay rate for those shifts that are scheduled on holidays. You can use the labor cost access list to specify who's allowed to see labor costs, reports, and wages. Now please note that only admins and managers can be added to this list. Employees cannot. The last setting will allow your employees to either view their own wages or not. Last but not least is the time off tab. This is where you'll be able to enable and disable time off requests, as well as require managerial approval, advance notice, and comments, like we talked about before. This is also where business members would choose to track their PTO. Business members can either cap PTO by leave type, like I mentioned before, or in aggregate. You can also set the maximum paid hours for a full day, and you can choose what format your company uses, whether it's days or hours. If you choose to cap by leave type, you'll see our types of leaves here. You can use as many or as little as necessary. Simply enable or disable them. When you enter a number here, you're telling the system that every user gets this amount of vacation days. Then, when your employees request time off, they'll see what I showed you earlier when we were discussing time off requests. If you choose to cap your PTO in aggregate, you're telling the system that you're going to give your users 24 days off per year, and you do not care for them to specify why they're requesting off. If you scroll down, you'll also be able to enable and disable unpaid vacation, which your employees can specify when they're requesting time off. Now that our demo has concluded, I hope you feel more comfortable with your Sling system. If you have the time, check out our YouTube page linked below for additional help and how-to video tutorials. Also, if you ever need anything answered quickly, our support team is available via live chat if you click the icon on the lower right corner of your screen. Thank you so much for taking the time to go through this with us.